What are we doing? You guys are putting lipsticks on a pig, and you're making America less safe. And the right wing in MAGA is doing this for Pete Hegseth.
Okay.
You're making this country less safe just because you're bending the knee to Donald Trump, and he wants a lapdog, who, by the way, I'll agree with Dave on this, who's good on TV.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do.
Come
we're
to Michael.
But you know what? But why is he making America unsafe? You know, people can't just say things blatantly, you know? Like, I'll listen to the argument. Okay, why is Pete Hegseth making America unsafe? Wajahat's not saying that, right? So what are you on here? You might as well just shut up because you don't have anything good to say. You guys are going to see him fumble this whole interview. Let's go ahead and get into it.
For Pete Hegseth.
Okay.
Release the woman from the NDA. I want to hear from the woman. Secretary of Defense, let's defend women from Pete Hegseth.
You made your point.
That's my take.
You made your point. Any negatives while we're at it?
He works out.
It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. You haven't actually taken that seriously. Let me bring Michael in here. I mean, look, a whole litany of stuff there, almost all of which was put to Pete Hegseth. I thought he actually batted away all of that stuff. We got a clip actually of him batting away one of them. Let's take a look.
All they were out to do, Mr. Chairman, was to destroy me. And why do they want to destroy me? Because I'm a change agent and a threat to them, because Donald Trump was willing to choose me, to empower me, to bring the Defense Department back to what it really should be, which is warfighting. So I'm willing to endure these attacks. But what I will do is stand up for the truth and for my reputation. False attacks, anonymous attacks, repeated ad nauseum, printed as nauseum, as facts. We have provided to the committee, Mr. Chairman, and I know you're going to share, on-the-record statement after on-the-record statement from people who have served with me, worked with me at Fox News, Concerned Vets, Vets for Freedom, you name it, from the top of the chain to the bottom, who will say, I treat them with respect, with kindness, with dignity. That's men, that's women, that's black, that's white, that's every background. I have prided myself as a leader of respecting people, being professional.
Michael, I thought that was quite an effective response, really, because a lot of it is just innuendo, hearsay, unsubstantiated allegation.
All right, so the left is tripping about, you know, the confirmation of Pete Hegseth, right? So they're looking for any little thing to make a big deal about when they have the biggest thing in their face, but they refuse to talk about it, right? So now they deserve to get destroyed by Michael Knowles, as we will see, for their incompetence, right? So let's go ahead and really get into it, guys. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. I'm going to thank every eye that lands on this video. Thank you.
Other stuff has been settled, as Wajahat says. That's not uncommon in America. It's incredibly common for people to do NDA settlements or whatever with no blame or liability attached. Where do you sit with this? I mean, it looks like Hegseth is going to get...
I don't know about you. That's not common.
Sorry?
That's not common. Not for me. I don't know about you, but that's not common.
I'm not saying for you or me.
There's a police report where I sexually assaulted a woman and I signed her to an NDA. In America,
that kind of settlement is not uncommon, is my point. Just generally, in the American system...
It's not uncommon. There's always some woman who remembers something like, come on, let's keep it real. Like, we can have an honest discussion. Okay, just because it didn't happen to you today, Wajahat, you better not make the wrong person mad. They will find somebody to remember that you hugged them too long.
A lot of things get settled that way without any admission of liability or wrongdoing, which is the case with Pete Hegseth. Michael, where do you sit with this?
Well, so much of what Wajahat just said is not true, or as you point out, Pierce, is completely unsubstantiated, like the allegations that Pete Hegseth shows up drunk to work. Excuse me one second, Wajahat. I've been on that morning show with Pete a number of times. I've been in studio with him a number of times. The only thing you could accuse Pete of is being too alert and energetic. I found it overwhelming, actually, while I was there, tired, trying to dust the sand out of my eyes. But you suggest that the graduate of Princeton and Harvard, who for decades has been in the U.S. military, served his country honorably, that he's somehow unqualified to work at the Pentagon. The most egregious accusation you make against him, though, is that he's an extremist because he has a tattoo. Could you tell us what the tattoo is?
The tattoos, specifically, I did not make the allegation that he's an extremist. It was actually
you repeated the allegation. So what's the tattoo?
Him as an insider threat.
Yeah, right. So what's the tattoo?
I can tell you. It says
he was his fellow.
Let Wajahat answer. Wajahat raised the tattoo.
First of all, they have every right to come after him about this tattoo. Because if you're going to raise the tattoo, you better know everything about the tattoo. I know the tattoo. I don't know everything about it. This is not something I've ever raised in any kind of debate because I'm not going to remember like the exact symbol, what it means. I don't care. Guess what? I don't even care. Okay? But this part is funny because I swear I feel like Pierce is just saying his name a certain way on purpose just for giggles.
But John, it's a fair question. What is this tattoo that you're so upset about?
It was his colleague. Wait. Two things.
John, hang on. Simple question. What is this tattoo that you're so upset about?
I wasn't the one upset about it. I was talking about his fellow colleague. This is exactly what I said. His fellow colleague.
Do you know what it was?
In the U.S. Army, called him out as a potential insider threat.
Well, what is the tattoo?
The tattoos on his chest.
Huh? What is the tattoo?
Also, I called him an extremist based upon his own book. Read the book,
What
American
is the
Crusade,
tattoo?
his own words.
If you don't know what the tattoo is, just admit it.
Oh, my Lord. Listen,
would you
what is it?
what the tattoo is?
I want to,
wait.
I'm genuinely intrigued. Do you know what it is or not,
We got a
Wajahat?
panelist.
Wajahat, do you know what it is or not?
She hasn't spoken yet. A woman hasn't spoken yet.
She's going to come. She's going to answer the question you're not answering. Final question to you, Wajahat.
I didn't answer it, but
Final
go ahead.
chance.
I got my colleague right here.
Be honest, Wajahat. Do you actually know what that tattoo is or not?
Listen, what I do know is I read his book, and in his book, if you read it, called American Crusade, in his book, wait a second.
Be honest.
His book.
Be honest.
Look,
Ironically,
you guys are putting lipstick on a pig
no one's going to crucify you
bending
if
the
you don't
knee
know
for
the
Donald
answer.
Trump,
But do you know the
putting
answer?
our national security at risk for Pete Hegseth. I'm telling you everything, and you guys are finding ways to spin. Why are you guys okay with a man who has an NDA with a woman that he allegedly sexually assaulted?
Do you know what the tattoo is that you got so upset about?
It was his colleague. His colleague called him out as an insider threat, not me. His colleague. And I also said, go to his book, read his words.
But just to be clear, Wajahat,
you've got from the U.S. military. Pete Hexett's own words. Why are you okay with that, Michael?
Wajahat, you don't know,
Michael, why are you guys okay with that?
You don't know,
literally.
Wajahat. Dog. Like, you don't know. All you had to say was, you know what? I shouldn't have said the tattoo because I have something else I could have brought up. That's it. Because you don't know. And, of course, they will explain the tattoo. And it's just so insane how we always find leaps and bounds over the obvious, okay?
In his book, American Crusade, he says he's too extreme for the U.S. military.
You don't know, do you?
Oh my gosh! All right, let's look it up right now because
don't look it up. Don't look it up. Let's go back to Michael. Michael, hang on, Michael. We gave him this chance. He obviously has no idea. Michael, what is the answer?
This falls along a threat as an insider threat.
I'm going back to Michael now.
2021 pegged Pete Hegseth as a potential insider.
You had 98 chances to answer, and you failed the test. Sorry, I'm going to Michael. I'm going to Michael. Don't talk over each other. Michael.
The tattoo in question is called a Jerusalem cross. That this is a medieval Christian symbol, goes back a long time. In fact, at Jimmy Carter's funeral, there was a Jerusalem cross on the floor of the cathedral, and on the program for the funeral, there's one other tattoo that some have suggested could be extremist. It's the phrase Deus Vult, which is a medieval Christian slogan, a long traditional slogan that refers to God's will, and it goes back a long way. These are very traditional, very mainstream Christian symbols that not only are not extreme in any way, but which even the people who want to accuse him of extremism couldn't possibly name. That is pathetic.
All right.
Not really. His insider guardsman did it, which is what I said. And also I said that he called himself too extreme for the U.S. military in his book. That's pathetic.
Okay.
So is Pete Hegseth lying that he's too extreme in his book?
He probably said that to gas his own self up. But I want the girl to explain this tattoo, and I'm going to make my point. But him calling himself too extreme for the U.S. military is probably, I can imagine him saying, the U.S. military now is so woke. When I seen these guys in the military walking with heels on, and that was years ago, and I was like, what is going on? Okay, what is going on? I do not need men walking with heels on. Like, are you insane? In the military. So, yeah, he's too extreme because he doesn't even think women should fight in the military. right? Which I don't have a problem with, but I'm just saying that now by those standards, he would be too extreme for them. So you see, I don't parse out stuff for fun, right? Like, make it make sense. There's plenty in that book that you could have came up with, but you're not allowed to say.
Let me go to Julie. He's been waiting.
He's too extreme for radical leftists.
Let me go to Julie. Let me go to Julie.
Is he lying?
Be gentlemanly, please. We have a lady who's not spoken. Julie, be waiting very patiently. Your view of this. I'll tell you what, before you answer, I know you said in your Substack about this, under normal circumstances, Pete Hegseth, would be precluded from serving in any leadership role. So explain why you said that.
Well, I will explain in 1 second. Let me go back to something that was said in the very beginning, that he spent more than 10 years at Fox News, and that's what qualifies him to be in this position that he wants to be in. I spent more than 10 years at Fox News. I don't think I'm qualified to run the DOD whatsoever based on my time at Fox News.
I said that was one of the things.
If you, well, I don't think that's even a remote qualification. That's one.
Being able to communicate ideas as the Secretary of Defense and explain policy is actually a very big part of the job.
There are plenty of qualified Republicans out there who can run the DOD who also are good on television. It does not need to be Pete Hegseth. Secondly, again, you talked about NDAs. I am bound by an NDA at Fox News. If I were not bound by an NDA and if Fox News wanted to release me from that NDA, I could tell you about my time with Pete Hegseth. Unfortunately, that's not possible. But I will say that the reason that there are so many people who anonymously came forward at Fox News is that because they're also bound by confidentiality provisions, which 1/3 of all American workers need to sign on their first day of work. And if they were to go public...
That's not good enough. I need her to get to that tattoo for me. Hold on.
There's not one woman out there who cares about being assaulted on deployment, who thinks that...
Phrase that was first uttered to defend persecuted Christians in the Middle East, just like they're being persecuted.
No.
Good to know Michael's pro-crusade. He'll get along really well with Pete Hegseth.
Those lands became Christian after the First Crusade, okay? So let's be very clear.
The lands were Christian in the first and second centuries, and then the Muslims... Islam didn't exist before the 7th century. What are you talking about?
Okay, listen.
Slaughtering Jews.
And you're
It has
telling
nothing to do with slaughtering Muslims, because the Muslims had invaded...
Terry. And as for the cross that you talked about, yes, Deus Vult, which is the cross that he has, and the slogan that he has...
Deus Vult is a phrase.
It is an old Christian cross. The phrase, however, was uttered by crusaders as they were slaughtering Jews and Muslims during the Second Crusade specifically. So it's not just a random cross. It's not just a random phrase.
That isn't true. The phrase...
It's not true.
It is true.
The phrase was uttered after the Council of Clermont, when Pope Urban II declared the crusade. And it was actually probably Dieu le veut, but it's been rendered in Latin as Deus Vult. It has nothing to do with slaughtering Jews. It has nothing to do with slaughtering Muslims, because the Muslims had invaded Europe, not the other way around.
Oh my God, are you really saying that the reason the crusade, which was sent to the Holy Land to liberate the Holy Land, from whom? From Jews and Muslims?
The crusade began because the Eastern... I'll tell you why the crusade began. The crusade began because the Eastern Emperor asked for help from the Western Pope, because the Seljuk Turks were slaughtering Christians in the Holy Land, because those lands were Christian before the Muslims invaded in the 7th century. So that's why.
No. Those
good to know Michael's pro-crusade. He'll get along really well with Pete Hegseth.
Those lands became Christian after the First Crusade, okay? So let's be very clear.
The lands were Christian in the first and second centuries, and then the Muslims... Islam didn't exist before the 7th century. What are you talking about?
Okay, listen. I can go all day if you want to talk about the Crusades, but the point is, I can also show you literature.
Okay, so there's a lot of lies that were told here, and let's just talk about it real quick. Lie number one. Look, I don't know about the Crusades. I don't know about the Crusades. I know a little bit, but not that much. Not that much to get into it. And what people decide to do is what people decide to do, right? Okay. Now, here's the thing, and I always say this about Pete Hegseth, okay? And I'm not going to get into the tattoo, because everybody's talking about the Jerusalem cross. That's not my issue. There were 3 Hebraic symbols on. I don't care. Whatever. You do what you got to do with your arms. I don't even care, okay? What I care is the fact that Pete Hegseth says that Americanism is Zionism. And he is a Christian Zionist. And he wants a third time. I'm not with all these wars for Israel. Y'all already know. Come on now. We should have never been in the Middle East for 20 years. How many soldiers did we lose? Okay? So that's the part that worries me. I don't care what he has on his arms. He could have the whole Lurianic Kabbalah, whatever. I don't care. He could have it all over his body. He could have it on his face. I don't care. But when you tell me that Americanism is Zionism, but you tell me I can't have church and state, you tell me I can't have like a Christian government, a real Christian government, right? Which fine, okay, fine. That's what you said. I can't have it. But Americanism is another religion. Like, that's really weird to me. And if you don't have a problem with that as an American, then I don't know what to tell. Then we're not having a serious conversation. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.